All right. Welcome to Tech Updates number 1. So this is just going to be quick, down and dirty. You'll see I don't even have any scenes set up in OBS or anything, but I want to use my podcast overlay. So I'm just trying to do something different for YouTube. But basically, I'm going to try to send out tech updates, maybe weekly, we'll see. And then, so this is the first one I just sent out. And then I'll also try to do a little video for them. So we're going to do it without having to edit it too. So first things up, what have I been doing this week? I worked on my Notion notes databases. I created new filters for archive content. I realized I had a bunch of stuff that was just getting old, and I wanted to be able to filter it out if it was so old I didn't want it, but I also didn't want to necessarily delete it in case I wanted to go back and search something that I had documented 4, 5, 6 years ago. So I got archive flags set up, and I can filter them out of my views. And then I also set up an archiving tab on the table or the database so I can go and look at them as well. I also added a maturity field on my notes and started tagging my notes as seedlings, growing, mature, or prime. So this allows me to quickly reference how useful the note is or the quantity of info that's in the note. So it's subjective, and it takes time to update them occasionally, but I already went through probably half the notes in 10, 15 minutes and opened them up, looked at it, and then marked how mature it was to see. And so that will help me in the future when I want to go look at stuff as well. All right, on to research stuff. These are things that I've written down to look up later. I am looking at maybe switching off of WordPress for my website and blog and stuff. And so I'm also looking at some of these newer platforms like Astro, Netlify, Pocketbase, Ghost, Bolt, all of a sudden, all those that are JavaScript based. And then you can use AI tools to kind of throw them up there for you and build them real quick. I also had on my list to go research TwinGate and Tailscale VPN stuff, VPN overlays, and how I can set them up, whether they be on Raspberry Pis, Linux boxes, Windows boxes, Docker containers, whatever. And I'll get to that later, what I actually did. I started researching Ollama and LM Studio for running local AI models. This video is pretty good at explaining the differences, and they both have their pros and cons. I'll talk about more about that later. And I'm also got on a list to research installing local N8N instances and Docker containers for AI agents and development and automation and stuff. I forgot to put the video on here for that one, but I watched some pretty cool videos on doing that, and actually got me excited about what I can do, some cool things for my own personal tech stuff, and then some ideas for at work on my IT security stuff. All right, this was a video I came across. I love Jeff Sue and the stuff he puts out for organization. I've copied a ton of his stuff in Notion and helped organize my thoughts, and on mobile as well. And this video he put out here has just AI shortcuts for your iPhone. So some good stuff in there. Being able to get Gemini open or ChatGPT open with just one button push is super fast. Putting in keyboard shortcuts for long prompts, so you can just copy instead of having to copy paste or write them out. Putting AI shortcuts into your share menu so you can just share screenshots, documents, whatever, right over to your AI models, and then use your keyboard shortcuts to tell it how to analyze and just analyze information super quick, super helpful on a mobile platform. All right, tech improvements. What have I actually been building and doing this week? Well, about 2 weeks ago, I got switched back over to Arch, and the main thing was to get Steam and Red Dead 2 Redemption running. So, and I got all that working. So ProtonDB has come a long way since the last time I was over in Arch. So props to all the people who do that. It's really cool. I got all the development stuff set up on my Arch system and in my WSL on my other laptop. So I got VS Code, Git, Node.js, Python, pip, all that kind of stuff set up. So as I'm starting to learn and build and do this stuff, I've got all the tools and the toolboxes ready to go. I got API keys set up with Anthropic and OpenAI for access to their AI models, and I bought a whopping $5 worth of credit with Anthropic. I didn't buy any yet with OpenAI, but then next up was this project from Network Chuck on remote desktop, and he had some really cool stuff. I got RustDesk set up on all my machines, and I got RustDesk server set up on my cloud VPS, so I can manage those sessions myself and not have to use theirs. And it's actually really cool, really neat. And my old remote desktop program stopped working, so this is perfect timing to be able to do that. It was a fun project to do over the last week. Learned a lot. Really neat. Go watch the video. I really like Network Chuck's videos. They're super entertaining and informational. I did get TwinGate VPN node set up in a Docker container on an old small server. It's an old firewall box I had in my lab downstairs. And I haven't done much with this yet. I just got the overlay model installed and the network set up. And I'm not sure quite how I'll use it yet, but I'm trying to learn it and play with it as a potential other remote way to get into my home network for all my tools on my home lab and stuff. So exploring TwinGate, but I got it running in Docker. I also got Ollama installed on my main desktop, which is Linux, and then I got some AI models downloaded that I can run. I got GPT OSS, which is based on GPT-4 Turbo, and I also got Llama 4, and I think I got a Llama 3.2 smaller one. And I've been learning how many billions of billions of, is it artifacts? Not artifacts. What's the word? I can't remember the word off the top of my head. Anyways, how many things that the model has in it and how much memory those take to run. So I got 64 gig of RAM on this box, and if I close everything out, I can run the Llama 4 model, which takes about 55, 60 gig of RAM to run and stuff. And I also figured out how to write a config file to send the models over to use most of my 3060 video card, and that's cool. It's a lot faster than trying to use a CPU. I also got Fabric AI installed, and I got that connected to my local AI models and also up to Claude in the cloud, which is really cool. These are some really cool videos from Daniel Miessler and Network Chuck on Fabric, and just this really cool AI tool called Fabric, and these curated crowdsourced prompts that you can use and how you can basically use them, whether it's in your job or augmenting your personal life, and just all kinds of it's going to be the future of AI personal assistance, and just learning it and building it and exploring it. I'm super excited to continue to learn it and deep dive into it. It's a fascinating tool, and just learning the syntax and the command line stuff. There's just some really cool stuff you can do. There's some cool examples in these videos. I won't try to do it justice by explaining it, but if you're into AI and personal assistance and building your own and not just, hey, what does Siri or Alexa give me, go check out this stuff. It's really nerdy, really cool. Some really smart people out there working on this stuff, and I really enjoy learning it and building my own version of it and kind of copying, pasting what other people do, and then modifying it and doing some other cool stuff with it for myself. All right, and lastly, mistakes this week. So don't make an alias named alias. It will overwrite the shell binary for the alias program and break your bash RC file. I did not realize that alias was an actual system binary, or a file that makes the aliases when you create an alias. I had put in an alias in my bash RC file called alias, unfortunately, to list my aliases, because I have a bunch in my bash RC file for shortcuts, because I don't want to type out the big long commands and I forget what they are. And so took me a while, but speaking with Claude AI and throwing some configs back and forth helped me troubleshoot. I realized I had changed my binary and broke it. And so long story short, I got that fixed, and I did it with two different binaries. There was another one in there. I forgot what the other one was. It wasn't alias. But anyways, so double check your system. Type whatever you want to make your alias first, and make sure it doesn't try to run some other program, or it's not in your user bin local or whatever. And then you can fix your bash RC file and get your aliases up and working again. So, and the thing I've also used this week is just using the AIs as a second engineer, or someone who I can bounce ideas off of or troubleshoot stuff. And if you can give good prompts and good context and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing on this project. Here's my idea. Here's where I'm stuck. Here's the error message I'm getting. And it says, oh, okay. And it will be a second brain and be like, have you tried this or thought of this? And then it will also give me the syntax to try, or we'll go check this file, try this. Here's 3 things to try. Let me know what it said. And then I'll go try it if it's reasonable. And then I'll copy the output back over to it. And it helped me solve something in 10 minutes that I was stuck on for 2 days. And that was really kind of neat. And especially with anything with config or Linux, it's just helping explain concept, or like, what does that mean again? And you're like, instead of Googling it, searching through the list of responses, is this forum up to date? Reading through the forum, reading an article, how out of date is this article? Generally, these large language models, some of the newer ones up on the web and stuff, have pretty decent information. And if you put good information into it, you can get good information back from it. And if you're technical and know what you're doing, and like I'm 80% there, and I can troubleshoot really well and comprehend what it's giving back to me, I can go, oh, okay, that's the next step or the little nugget I needed, little push to get something fixed. And it really is just augmenting my work and making me do things so much faster. I got more done in 3 days, last 3 or 4 days, than I have in the last 3 months because I dove deep into this AI stuff and I was pretty green on some Docker stuff and some of this other stuff. And I just went and YouTube and AI are some of the most useful tools if you want to speed up your tech learning and go deeper, faster. And that's was my experience this week. So there's my tech updates number 1 episode. So I'll try to put it out in print and hopefully video as well. And we'll see what happens and what I come up to and create this week. And hopefully I won't be so busy that you'll see this next week. So that's all for now. Later.